All right, we got the full game highlight for you now. SportsCenter with you from the nation's capital, Scot Van Pelt. No Porzingis for Game 3. It was an injury that has an odd-sounding sort of explanation, and it meant that he wasn't available in this one. And you had to expect the home team would come out and play with spirit and fire. They did. Kyrie, float game.
On point.
But then 27-footers were 3 points, and that is a 13-point lead, the largest of the series. Tatum was pulling from 3 all night long. He rattles that one home. Tatum took 13 threes in this game. It was a bad close to the first quarter because you get a 3 and then woo! Outlet! Great find from White to find Tatum for a dunk. And that 13-point lead is all but gone. It's back to 1. Tatum had 13 in the first quarter after he had 13 in the first half of games 1 and 2 combined. Celtics now leading. Check that. Kyrie, give me all 3 of these. And then it's Irving. Again. He was far too quiet in games 1 and 2. Patrick Mahomes cheering him on. Kyrie with 20 in the first half. He had 16 in the first half of games 1 and 2. So Tatum and Kyrie both much better in this Game 3. Luka. His patented slow probe of the defense and then gets to the spot he likes. Hits that mid-range bucket. Jaylen Brown. Tatum. Tying things up. It was a 1-point Mavs lead at the break. Third quarter, this is just Boston at its absolute best. Good ball movement, Tatum down low, layup good, Celtics regain the lead. Tatum in rhythm, that's cash. His 4th career 25-point game in the finals. Great ball movement, Brown, bucket. It's an 8-point lead. 6 to go in the third. Tim Hardaway Jr.'s shot is blocked. Incredible block by White. And then on the other end, Tatum. How is that not a foul?
I don't know.
The official's looking right at it. It's all of a sudden a 10-point lead. Well, it's about to be 13.
X going to give it to you.
Xavier Tillman. And the Celtics bench going wild as the seldom used reserve gets his, and then they go crazy as that is an absolute thunderbolt from Brown. Brown and Tatum outscore the Mavs by themselves in the third, and it is a 15-point lead heading into the fourth. It would balloon to 21, and it looked like this was an absolute runaway, a rout, and a wrap. Hold the phone. Josh Green hits a 3. Emmett excited.
Shut it down!
Dirk gave a little elbow there to Nash. That was kind of fun. P.J. Washington, corner 3, 6-point game. And then this is a huge moment. 3-point game. Brown puts his head down, as Tim Legler said, initiates the contact. Luka gets his 6th foul. First playoff game he's ever fouled out of. It was Leg's point that if Brown didn't hit the deck, it might not have been a foul call. It was, and Luka can't do anything but laugh, but obviously it's not funny. They need him, and they don't have him. Kyrie, though, it's a teardrop. It's a 1-point game. Kyrie had 35 points. The Celtics had an 8-minute stretch where they scored just 2 points. Offensively, they're a mess, but there it's a putback from Brown on the Tatum miss. And then that's when Washington gets called for an offensive foul on the screen. Doncic can't believe that either. Ensuing Celtics possession. That's the beautiful find from Drew Holiday. Derek White hits a monster 3, and the Celtics push the lead back to 6. Then that's a semi-loose ball in the middle of traffic, and Tatum in the middle of 3 Mavs is able to get it and get the dunk. But with 1:20 to go, somehow Derek Lively gets lost in the paint. He's all alone. It's a 2-point game. Here's that bucket that Brown hit that we were just talking about with legs. Just a huge, huge hit to push the lead back to 2 possessions with 1 minute to go. Then this was a gotta-have-it shot that comes up short from Kyrie. C's get the rebound. Free throws are made, and that'll do it. Boston, a win away And then after a monster contribution, here's Jaylen Brown on pulling away down the stretch.
That third quarter, we made some big plays in that third quarter. Our guys that came in, our stay-ready guys came in and made shots. Sam Hauser, Peyton Pritchard played well for us, and we just played the right way the whole night.
I'm talking about down the stretch. You guys were up 21. It ended up being a close game. Just how were you able to pull away?
This is basketball. It's basketball. They went on a run. They had some momentum, but we kept our poise. We made timely baskets. We got some good shots going in, and we found a way to win.
Yeah, we needed to stay poised, and we feel like we've been in these positions before, and we've learned in the past from it, and I feel like we handled it well. D. White made a big three there, late. JB and JT made some big plays, and Drew defensively was all over the place, and we just found a way to get it done.
I really can't speak for anybody, a bit of frustration, but at the end of the day, we made one extra push, and that's something that we needed to just kind of give us just some type of motivation during this game.
On the other end, Luka fouled out with over 4 to go. He was not in the greatest mood all night long as far as the officials go. What do you have to say about all of it when it was over?
It's okay. Every time they draw it, basically call a foul. So I try to be better. So gotta get better.
Middle here.
Blake Elliott, 105 through the fan. Luka, just take us through, right here in the middle, just take us through your emotions when you foul out of the game and you see your team trying to fight back into it.
I mean, yeah, we had a good chance. We were close. Just didn't get it. I wish I was down there.
Any other questions for Luka? Got Tim right here, first row.
Tim McMahon, ESPN. Luka, what did you think of the whistles that went against you in the fourth quarter?
I mean, I don't know. We couldn't play physical, so I don't know. I don't want to say nothing, but 6 foul in the NBA Finals, where basically I'm like this. Come on, man. Better than that.
You guys came out cooking in the first quarter. I think 25 points through like 7 minutes. What happened to make to bog down the offense? What happened to make scoring more difficult there?
I think we should just keep playing, with the same energy. Keep the same people in. We were rolling down there, but then they came back. At some point we were down 21-2 in the fourth quarter, and we came back. So we're gonna still believe till the end.
Earlier in the playoffs, Luka, when he was woofing at Gobert, said he was speaking Slovenian. It looked like sometimes there was a little Slovenian for the officials tonight in general. But that 6th foul, that's a tough one on a star player in that moment. A foul's a foul, I get it. What do you make just of that call?
It's letter of the law that's a foul because he's definitely not completely set.
No, his feet are in the air.
It's a tough one because Jaylen Brown initiates all of the contact. And I think the foul's called because Jaylen Brown goes to the floor. If Jaylen Brown doesn't fall right there, I think you're not going to call that. Most likely you're just going to let him play through the contact and keep going. When Jaylen Brown loses his footing and goes to the ground, that's what's going to trigger the official to call something. And because Luka wasn't totally set, letter of the law, that's a foul. What a brutal way for Luka to end that game sitting there for the last 4.5 minutes after that great comeback.
You know what it's like? It's like a PI in a football game where there's contact clearly, and it's like letter of laws are flagged clearly. Yeah. But in a certain situation in the game, do you want that call to be made necessarily? And I mean, I get it. If you're a Celtics fan, like, hey man, that's a foul. But that's Luka fouling out in a game that ultimately is a 2-point game for Dallas, and they got to try to do it without Doncic. They're not winning without him. They might not have won it with him. But I don't know.
I'll be honest with you. There was a few calls there at the end of the game. I had a far bigger problem with the illegal screen on P.J. Washington in the backcourt. I thought that was an absolutely brutal call. Like I'm not sure what you're even looking at and anticipating that kind of action. But there was very little contact even to take place to call that in that spot. I'm actually more upset for Dallas, if I'm a Dallas fan, I'm more upset with that call even than the Luka one.
Remember the Miles Turner, Indiana,
Sure,
to New York?
absolutely.
Okay, that's a foul. Well, you know how many screens there are in a game? It's all anyone does is run a high ball screen, and you could call it a billion times if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Calling it in that situation, I'm not going to turn this into a bitch session about the officials when we got a million other things to talk about. We were prepared to talk about the Boston third quarter, and we will. But that the whole fourth quarter just felt like it was mayhem. Can you make sense of it in some sort of coherent answer?
Yeah, well, it was
what happened?
Yeah, incredibly bizarre. We're up there talking. I said to you, like as that comeback's taking place, I said I've never been so certain of what I was about to do on a touchscreen as I was at the end of the third quarter, and then that happened. So let's just talk quickly. Third quarter. I've referenced Boston offensively all year as a buzzsaw. That was what it typifies what it looks like in the third quarter. Every single pass was purposeful. Now, Dallas contributed to it. There's no doubt. I could do a whole separate touchscreen on their defensive breakdowns during that stretch. But some of that is because you get demoralized to the point that you can't guard these guys, and that's what happened in the third quarter. It was tough shot making on some individual stuff, but more often than not, it was initial breakdown followed by the ability to get the ball out and get it around to that next guy, and every single guy that towed one up made one in that quarter. Just so impressive. I thought it was maybe the most impressive offensive quarter Boston's had in the postseason that I've seen. That's how good they were. And then the fourth, they got away from that. They got ISO heavy. They started playing a little bit almost frantic.
That was the word you used that I was going to
getting shots up. It was a very strange scenario at the exact same time that Dallas is converting everything at the other end. And here you go. We got a three-point game, one-possession game that I did not see coming at all. The way Dallas looked from a body language standpoint when that third quarter ended, I did not see that run happening, Scott, to get them back in the game. So as Derek White said, give Dallas credit for fighting back. Boston contributed to that with their offense, though.
106-99, the Celtics win Game 3, and they were powered by an absolutely sparkling third quarter when they made shot after shot after shot to the tune of 35-19. They ultimately built a 21-point lead, had to really hang on after they got totally out of sorts, and Dallas showed the kind of fight and desperation that a team that's in a 2-0 hole can certainly demonstrate. But ultimately, it's a 7-point win. Here's Joe Mazzulla on his squad, up 3-0.
Yeah, I mean, just stick to the things that we've been doing. I mean, have an understanding. I think, we were down 13. I expected that. We were down 1.5. I expected that. So you got to expect the expected. You got to understand that, we're just as vulnerable, if not more vulnerable than they are. And we have to play that way. And so as long as we have that mindset, when you understand that you're vulnerable and your back's against the wall, you got to fight. And so that's the mindset that we have to have.
We're not necessarily saying like one more or anything like that. We're just saying however long it takes. Nobody's relaxed. Nobody is satisfied. But, just at that moment, just told him I was proud of him, and he said the same thing, and that we got to keep fighting. We can't relax, and that was basically the conversation.
Tim in the back under the camera.
Jayson, Tim Reynolds with the AP. Kind of along those lines, I know you haven't gone through this, so you don't know what the next 2 days will be like, but how difficult do you envision it to make between now and Friday night seem normal, seem like there's just a game to play on Friday?
Honestly, not too difficult. From the standpoint of last year, we were down 0-3 in the conference finals, and we really felt like we were going to come back, and we almost did. We was a sprained ankle away from having like a real shot. So we're not relaxing or anything like that, and just not even focusing on winning on Friday or whatever. Just however long it takes. That's our motto. Just however long it takes. That's what it's going to take. And nobody's not time to relax at all.
Had 61, actually outscored by the Dallas duo of Kyrie and Luka, 62-61. But this is the graphic that matters. When the Celtics hold their opponent to double digits in the playoffs, they've won 31 consecutive postseason games. That dates back to 2019. Tim Legler is back, and it didn't turn into the blowout that the third quarter, appeared it would turn this game into. All credit to Dallas for that. But the performance from Boston there in that stretch, and then the moments that got them the victory. What are you gonna focus in on?
Well, it's after the comeback, and now you've got to settle into a one-possession game, and we get right back to Boston executing again.
After all that ugly mess of stretch where it's like they forgot who they were.
Yeah, they get to a lot of isolation basketball. Out of that, they come out of the timeout, and here's what they're going to run, and this is one of their favorite sets. They go to this an awful lot out of timeouts late in games when they need something. You're going to get the ball dribbled here over to the wing, and then they run this little screen action for Tatum, who then will run out and set a ball screen here. It's all designed to engage three guys and see if you can get enough switches, and you're going to end up with Derek Lively out on the perimeter, and that's going to matter later on in the possession. So here you go. Tatum gets the first screen. Now he runs into a ball screen, and here's what I'm talking about. And I just think Dallas did far too much of this in this series, and tonight, you're just indiscriminately switching. You don't want Derek Lively out this far from the rim, and you've also now got a situation where Jayson Tatum is now going to mismatch, and he's going to run into the mid-post, and that matters too. So all of these things have consequences. But here you go. And actually, Dallas, pretty good shape right here. This isn't even bad defense on the part of Hardaway. This ball's driven baseline. That's where you want it to go. He's riding his hip. But it's what happens on the backside. Remember I said Jayson Tatum was in mid-post? Yep. Well, that means right here that Josh Green's not in position to slide down and help, which means now that's got to come from the weak side, which is going to be Kyrie Irving. And that means now there's two shooters on the weak side of the floor. And Derek Lively is out on the perimeter. He's a center. He wants to rim protect. He's not great at reading this situation on first pass when it comes out, but he is the guy to take the first pass. And you'll see he makes a bad read. He runs over here to the corner shooter, and that is going to leave a massive gap right here for Derek White. Now, that's an incredible pass by Jrue Holiday. Left-handed, wraps it around. But you see Derek Lively just sort of out of place, and Boston makes you pay every single time. And then here, so I'm diagramming these, Scott, because these, I think, the two biggest baskets of the game. That took that from 3 to 6. Now it's back to 4, 2:20 to go. And this is just Jayson Tatum, again, getting a ball screen. And this time, instead of coming over here on that screen that Horford set and setting the ball screen, instead he reads that he's got a switch right here with a smaller player, and that ball goes right into the paint. And then this is just really, honestly, this is very weak side defense. These guys don't put up much of a fight. He catches the ball, spins out. Again, Lively out of position, and Jayson Tatum gets the dunk. Same set, two different reads. First one, Tatum rolls into the post. Jrue Holiday drives. You get a 3. The second one, Tatum rolls into the post. They hit him on the switch that time, and he gets the finish. This is one of the things they like to go to, and they execute it as well as anybody. And these two possessions were typified the issues Dallas has had repeatedly in this series with communication, with personnel, and with a lot of mistakes on that end. And they're playing against a team that just flat out capitalizes whenever you do that.
Brown hit a tough 2.
Big-time pull-up jumper.
Mid-range 2.
It's not touchscreen material because it's just a one-on-one shot.
Thank you for saying it. Not everything's touch screenable, but I think that bucket ultimately was as big as any in this game. And to be fair, and to give ourselves a little wiggle room here, I thought we were going to be looking at that third quarter because that just looked to me like the wagon they've been all year long, and people somehow try to convince themselves it was going to be different here. It's just not. They're the best team in the NBA.
I'll be having a lot of conversations about this team here over the next several days, however long this series goes on. If Dallas could still win a game, I don't think they're winning more than one now. And that third quarter will be somewhere featured. It's something that I'm going to do because from an X's and O's standpoint and an execution standpoint offensively, it's as good as it gets. And it also summed up a lot of the series. Scott, think about this. Dallas is a minus 63 from the three-point line in this series through 3 games.
Almost 2-1 tonight. Boston had 17. Dallas had 9.
They're minus 21 points on average per night in this series. They also have 36 assists in 3 games. That's 12 per game. Think about it. Luka averaged almost 10 himself in the regular season. They have 12 assists per game over the first 3 games of the series because of the fact that Boston is so good at covering ground once they force you to pick the basketball up, and they're forced into a lot of difficult shot making that eventually is going to run out on you, and it did tonight in that third quarter.
Series go beyond Friday, or is this a wrap?
It's hard for me to imagine Dallas winning that game with Boston. I just think they're so laser focused now and wanting to get this over with. You're not going to be shocked by it. Dallas is a very good team. They've got 2 great players. Could they win a game at home? Yeah. And everybody always wonders, is there a part of it? It's like, hey, that team wouldn't mind winning that thing in a game 5 in their home court. A little bit more. Boston wants this over with.
Exactly.
And they also want to look up at the end of this and look at this run of what will it be, 16-2 in the postseason if they finish that off. It's one of the great postseason records we've ever had.
And I haven't mentioned it yet, but you know because you watched the game, but no Porzingis in this one. Again, it's just like and you saw the difference maker he was in game one, not as much in game two because he was limited by the injury, but he's a luxury to this team. That's amazing that a guy that impactful could be will be okay without him. They have been, and they were again tonight.